What's the biggest myth that people have about breaking artists in 2025?
If I make great music, that's it. I'm set. The best song will win. I just think there's a lot of best songs out there. The best song with the best market, I think that's what's going to win.
If I had $5,000, how would you spend it for me?
Well, I would say you need more than that. I'd say like the first question you want to answer is like,
you listen to the Asa Park podcast.
The Asa Park podcast.
I talked to some people about how to release music in 2025 and who should I talk to. And the name that several of them talked about and mentioned recently was your name. You should talk to Dalton Piche, who he's involved with Seven Cult, Pulse. He's doing a lot of interesting things. And he has his finger on the pulse on how music marketing is done in 2025. And I thought if I have to talk to you, then a lot of other people probably want to hear from you. So that's why I invited you on. And it's an honor that I finally was able to get you here.
Cool. Thanks, man. No, I appreciate it. I'm glad to hear people are saying nice things.
But how did you get into music industry? Like, what's your background?
I mean, just really, I like music. You know, I used to try to make music, was never very good at it. But was good at the business side of things. And I guess I never really thought that there was a business side of the industry. So as soon as I don't know, felt like there was something there, just kind of kept building off of that. And it started out with like, you know, like really early days was like SoundCloud, like, you know, can I build a SoundCloud account with any kind of a following? And so I'd go in and I'd follow 99 people every day, and, you know, people would follow back. And then eventually someone offered me $5 to repost one of their songs. And really the rest it's kind of history. It's just kind of, someone would give me money for this. Let's figure this out. And yeah, that was it.
What's the biggest myth that people have about breaking artists in 2025 that drives you crazy? Like, what's like the biggest?
That like, I mean, there's like some pretty niche ways of thinking in the industry, like amongst like labels and stuff that I think are pretty false, or at least in our opinion. And I mean, it's tough to say. I don't know if that I really have one, because we do things a very certain way, but it's not the only way to do it. And we see people succeeding in all different types of ways. But I mean, maybe the most common one is that like, oh, if I make great music, that's it. You know, I'm set. I think there's like a lot of like, oh, as long as I get this right thing out there, as long as I think it's good, as long as other people think it's good, then something should happen. But yeah, I don't think that's the case.
But hasn't that changed a bit though? Because I think I used to belong in that group where I thought that it's lovely to be in the music industry. I was an idealist, and just making the best song will always win. I remember Max Martin, he said that once. He said, the best song always wins. But I don't think that's the case anymore. And you're basically saying it right now, that is not the case anymore. Do you think that it has ever been the case, or it's changed, or has like it's never been the case?
Well, I mean, I've only been in the industry for a few years, so I don't know that much about how it's always been. But to clarify, I'd say that's still the case. It's like the best song will win. I just think there's a lot of best songs out there. And that's maybe the problem, is that the best song with the best market, I think that's what's going to win. I just do think that there's so much great music out there that just doesn't get out there. And I think that's where that like myth comes into play, is like, oh, you know, great song is all you need. It's like, no, that's one thing you need. But there's a lot of other things you need alongside that. Right. So I think that's still very essential. And if you're in a position like a Max Martin, or like any writer who has, you know, a publishing company or someone helping them get that music into the right ears, that's its own thing. But to just be an independent artist, doing your own thing, releasing your own music, hoping for the best, that's when it gets, I'd say, a little bit trickier.
And that's where you can come help people.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So if I had $5,000 to put into a song, how would you spend it for me?
Well, I would say you need more than that.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I can like dive into our like the way we run at like our strategy, the way that we think about that. But I'd say like the first question you want to answer is like, should I be spending this money or not on this song? And that's the part of the puzzle that we do try to solve for a lot of folks. And you know, I think a common way of thinking about ads is that it's pointless and that it really doesn't add much value and that it kind of happens in the background and yet everyone's still kind of doing it, but it's like, what's the point? And I agree that that's pretty consistent with reality, but that's because everyone's spending ad money on everything. And that's the problem is, you know, people will come to us all the time. Hey, I want to blow this song up. I've got 10 grand, 50 grand, 100 grand, whatever it is. But if the song just doesn't connect and dive into what that means for us, then you shouldn't spend a single dollar on it, in our opinion, right? We're very much at the mindset of like, we want hits. We want to help people create hits. We want to create hits ourselves. And that's where, you know, getting that data, that market data ahead of time with the way that we do it is like, it's everything for us, right? Because there are going to be a lot of independent artists who do want to spend 5, 10, 20 grand on something. Maybe not a lot, but there's going to be a bunch and they're going to put a lot of work into it. But, you know, and an influencer agency will spend that happily, and you may flush every penny down the toilet with no impact. Playlisting company will spend that for sure. And, you know, you're going to get streams, but what's going to be left afterwards? An ad company will likely also just go ahead and spend that, and who knows what's going to come from it. But for us, we're going to take that song, we're going to spend a very, very small amount, $10, $20, $50 to test the market and see if it is worth actually spending money on. And that's the big difference is we're going to find out, does the market like this from an ad perspective, paid social advertising? And if they do, wonderful, we'll take that thing on and we will spend that money. But there's a good chance they don't. And you just save some money. And, you know, you can still release it and do your thing. But in our opinion, that cash should be reserved for something with more potential.
Yeah. And you do this before the song is released. So this is like a pre thing. So again, take us through like a song. So let's say I sent you a song and you thought, yeah, this is an okay song. How would you work with that song? Then you would start to test it on TikTok or on Instagram for $50. And then based on the results, how do you do the testing? Do you do like a, because like, do you create an expensive visual, or is this like some standard boring visual? And like, how do you do it practically?
Yeah. So whether it be Seven Cult or Pulse, Seven Cult being our label, Pulse being our marketing agency, we would handle it the same way. So ideally you'd bring us, let's call it 5 demos instead of just the one. And then we can go and take those demos and our team's going to pick through, try to find the best start times from each song. Maybe that's 2 or 3 different start times, a build, a bridge, maybe a build and a drop, something like that. 15 to 20 second pieces. And then depending on the music and depending on the artist, we're then going to run some content ads on Meta. Now that could be ads that we create in-house. These could be like memes or reaction style or like live DJ performance style videos if it's dance music. If the artist performs or if they have a bit of a social existence, then, you know, they can also send over some content of them singing it in their bedroom. Whatever kind of content would work well organically will also likely work well for ads. So any way that we can get our hands on some content, also creator content, more commonly going to be used after the song goes live. But, you know, creators dancing to it, reacting to it, lip syncing it, whatever. Those pieces of content will also, in most cases, work well on paid ads. So if we're testing a song, you're going to send us all these tracks. We're going to make a bunch of content for all these different tracks, and then we're going to run ads on them. And that being on like, Instagram Reels or stories or whatever ends up converting best. And then from there, we're going to drive traffic to really any artist page that you want on Spotify, because it's not about actually converting listeners. It's about just getting that data, right? What's it going to cost us to convert someone from an ad to the streaming platform when we actually do release this song? That's the only information we're trying to get out of this. Because if you convert someone for 10 cents versus 50 cents, big difference, right? That's a song that you should put 100 grand into and a song that you should put 0 into.
This is truly a great one. And if you want me to have on more guests like this, I need your help. So if you want to support the channel and help what I'm doing and trying to build over here, subscribe to the show, follow the show. That's the only thing I will ever ask you for. Now, back to the episode. But how do you know though, because you test, we go very detailed here, but because it's interesting. I think the most people who listen to this, they are nerds and they want to know the specifics.
Perfect.
So if I make a piece of content that is interesting or funny or like visually appealing, but I play a shit song to it, but people click it because they find the visual appealing. Do you use the same visual for all the songs, for example, or to test that? Or
no, I'd say that the content is always very music centric. So it's not going to be like, oh, this funny video, that the music's just playing. It's going to be like, oh no, this is someone who's like enjoying the song, someone who's just engaging with it in some way, so that, and it's very clear call to action. Listen now, click below to listen now. And it's like everything's driving to like the song. But I mean, that's a fair question. There's definitely different types of content that are more leaning or more active versus, this is kind of backgroundy. Maybe someone's interested, but maybe they click through for the wrong reasons. So always being mindful of that and trying to make sure that whatever content someone's clicking through is like as clear as possible what they're getting themselves into.
Yeah. Okay, and then we do that, and let's say I've sent you 5 songs, and one of them perform well, but the 4 others are like, not that well. As a label with 7 Cult, would you then go, these 4, not for us, but we can release this one? Or do you then make an album, or like how do you view that?
Yeah, no, I mean, as of now, we're very singles focused. So, we have a couple artists that we're working more long-term with, and in those cases we'll look to do some albums in the future, but definitely as of now we're most effective with singles. So yeah, exactly that. We would say, hey, we're probably not the best team for these 4, but this one we can do something big with it. And not even to say that we can't get involved in the other 4, it's more so just if we were to sign all 5, expect 95% of marketing to go towards the one. And there's value in music outside of the ones that perform well here. And also not to say that these ads are the only way to figure out if it's a good song or not. That's not the case at all. It's just where we can bring the most value is on the ones that perform best with our strategy.
I kind of, the idealist in me hates this, but the cynic in me and the businessman in me loves it, because what you're doing is basically like, I think a lot of musicians and artists, they have this idea of how they want to succeed. And usually the way you want to succeed is the way you saw your heroes growing up succeed. The problem is that your heroes growing up, I grew up in the 90s, right? And the early 2000s. And the business is different now than it was then. So the way back then you had to convince a couple of old men in suits and they could make or break you. But today the world is different. And now you have to do what you're doing. This is the new way. So let's go deeper. So then the one song performs, and then what you do, you just put more coal on the fire, and you just put more money behind it, and then is that?
I mean, somewhat, yeah. So let's say it's on the label side, then we would, get the song finished if it's not yet finished, because in many cases we're testing 30, 45 second demos. So we'll get the song finished, we'll sign it, And then, day one, we're hitting it very, very hard. Upwards of $1,000 a day in ads, just to create that spark, you know?
And the business case here, then I'm guessing, is that you have to create the spark, and then the algorithm will kind of do the rest of the job. That's the idea, I'm guessing.
Yeah. I mean, that's for the most part. Yeah, I think we live in a time where like you kind of need these big moments, and Spotify and other DSPs recognize these moments. And traditionally, it's from a viral moment on social media organically that, you know, all of a sudden Spotify sees, you know, thousands of people coming through every day who are immediately saving and immediately adding it to their playlist. They're engaging as a fan because they already heard it on another platform, most commonly like a TikTok or Instagram, where there's this viral moment happening. I keep hearing this song. I want it. I go there, I save it, I engage really well with it. And then Spotify's like, oh, some of these went viral. Let's take this thing to the moon with them. And the ads are essentially doing the same thing. But you have more control over it. And you have more control over it. And you hear like, imagine it's like, and this happens all the time. I'm an artist. I post this video of me singing the song. It gets 1 million views, which is massive. Like, I know there's a lot of videos out there getting lots of views nowadays, but like that is massive. You have a piece of content that does that organically. You take that piece of content, maybe you make a couple different versions, and then you hammer it with ads. It just gives you that control to say like, I know this worked. It did convert fans, but now it's sitting there and there's nothing I can do. And now every time I post it, TikTok's not giving it the same love. But I throw a CTA on that thing and I hammer ads on Meta. I've just kind of replicated that moment every single day for the next however long I want to spend. And that's the power of it, is like you're just channeling something that you already have kind of created, but you're taking control of it. And that kind of impact on the algorithm is crazy.
You're saying Meta and not TikTok. From what I understand, TikTok is the place where artists mostly are being discovered these days. I'm guessing we're kind of similar in age, maybe, I don't know, but like I'm still on Instagram. My mom is on Facebook, but the people 10 years younger than me, they're only on TikTok. And I would agree. Organically, most music would be discovered on TikTok. And when we started doing this, that was kind of always like people are going to see these ads and go and listen to this. And they are. I don't, again, it might not be me necessarily who's listening or clicking through an ad. I don't really use social media, but there's a huge audience for it. And so to clarify, we're still very involved in like creators on TikTok, and there's a world for that, definitely, but it's not our first approach ever. Ads is always kind of how we'll kick off. And the reason we use Meta is it's just significantly more effective. The data is far more robust. You'd have to spend a lot more on TikTok for it to be anywhere near as effective. So what else do you do?
Well, ads.
The song is out.
Creator content, really those two things. And for us, and I'm sure for every label out there, it's pretty similar. You know, you have your strategy, you run it, for probably every release. And then when that song gets to a second or a certain point, you unlock another level of marketing kind of strategies, so to speak. I don't know if I call them strategies, but pushing creators. So you might have a network of creators that once you get a song to 100,000 streams a day, you want to start tapping into. And then once you get a song to 200,000 or 300,000 a day, maybe you're going into radio. They're going to push European radio or US radio, depending on the music and everything else that's happening. So,
okay, well, let's be specific here.
Sure.
This is interesting. So you use ads to get the song to you mentioned some levels. I'm guessing these are the levels you are using for your own label, Seven Cult. So you have approximately 100,000 streams a day, which is like that's quite good.
Yep.
Then that unlocks the next level, and you said the next level is usually creator content. and which I know a bit about because I get hammered with emails from people who wants me to create content for them, and I've done something with some of the major labels. I know the major labels, at least, they're doing a lot of this. How, like that network, do you have to curate that yourself, or is it a different service? There's some people that are delivering that for you?
Yeah, no, we do all that in-house. It's I'd say it's new enough that we're still primarily doing it for just Seven Cult. But we do have a few clients on the Pulse side who also utilize those services. Main thing there is that like ads are new, ads are complicated. You know, not a lot of people are doing them effectively, whereas creator content, most labels have either an internal solution for that or something that they feel pretty good about. So that's why it's been more of an internal thing for us at Seven Cult. Like we'll do it for our own music, in which case, yes, we have a team that is going after these creators, hopefully finding all the best creators out there and then building these networks, these relationships so that we can activate campaigns very quickly, which is really the difference between like, I'd say maybe a good agency or a less effective one is like, how quick can you get this up? And, you know, how much control or investment do you get from these creators to make good stuff? So assuming you can do those two things, you know, again, most of our labels have that kind of sorted. But yeah, we do all of our own stuff in-house.
How many creators do you usually use for this? If you have 100,000 streams today, like how many pieces of creator content do you want out?
I might not be the best person to ask that because we're always just like, just go. Get me as much as you possibly can.
But how much do you usually pay though?
It ranges, you know, every creator is a little different. Some will take $50. Some editors will take $5 or $10, but then some of the bigger ones will take $2-3 grand a post. So it really is all over the place. We're very particular in what we look for from creators. It's always conversion focused. So if the music is not at like the forefront of the content, we're not doing it. We're not chasing trends. We're not trying to get even trying to get a dance done. It's like the only reason we'll do a dance is because it is connected to the music and we expect it to convert actual listeners and we can run ads on it and we can do all these things. But you know, a lot of folks out there, again, they're better at this than we are. It's just not our focus. And, you know, it doesn't really align with our approach. Is like chasing these trends, trying to get something like a very specific thing to connect in a big way and paying a lot of, I don't know the best way to describe them, but like more personality influencers, you know, where people are more focused on who they are as opposed to the content they're putting out. That's less of our focus. And not to say it can't be effective. It obviously is. It's just doesn't align with like our kind of structured approach.
No, I think what you're doing is smart. I'm probably doing myself a disfavor, but I usually say no to stuff like that myself anyways. But I've thought that why do Universal pay me this amount of money when I cannot deliver necessarily. Maybe I can deliver a bit more traction, but not that much. I would much rather spend that amount on, I don't know, 50, 60 different smaller creators and get them to just pump the fucking algorithm with worse content, like quality wise, but you never know what will take off. Like it's so unpredictable these days.
Yeah, it is. And we're at an interesting time where I do feel like, you know, that approach of throwing money at creators, it still works for sure, but people are getting creative outside of that. And I think this ads strategy is a very good example of that. Not that this is the only way or that there's not other ways, but this has been our way of like, yeah, we don't like that. We don't like this very expensive, very inconsistent gamble. It's just not worth it for us. So we'd rather like get as much data as we can up front. And then like, I'm happy to gamble on something that's proven itself in some form, right? And I think most labels think that way too. You know, they're not going to throw $500,000 at something that's not already flying, right? They're good at leaning into what's working. But I think they rely on a lot of outside sources to help them determine what's working.
Yeah, and I'm guessing if you have a legacy artist, if you have Ed Sheeran, then they're kind of it's less risky probably than, for example, Oscar McKay, one of your my Norwegian compatriots,
Yes.
and one of your big artists. How did you meet him, by the way? Like I don't know him. He's a young guy doing electronic music, super beautiful music, super talented, and he's fucking taking over TikTok these days. How can you describe that project? I'm guessing what you described just now is probably like the same recipe.
Yeah, I mean, exactly that. We've been with Oscar for a lot longer than we've been running the strategy. We met him. So we used to, like, when we started marketing, we were doing playlisting, as I think I mentioned, and we were working with a lot of the streaming labels, like there's a lot of European streaming labels out there. I won't name them, but they get a lot of submissions, a lot of these labels, and we're always trying to, experiment with new strategies. And so we'll sign music and then we'll just experiment on it with like a different way of running ads or whatever it might be. And so that's kind of what Oscar was for us like 3 years ago. This label got submissions. We wanted access to the ones that they did not want. And that was Oscar. Oscar sent them a song. He'd never released music before and they didn't want it. We loved it. And we just kind of kicked it off with him from there. And then over the years, he's done a ton of production for us on like a lot of different things, which is cool because like he's a phenomenal producer without a doubt. And I mean, even just directly, I don't know what he's done outside of us or, previous to us getting started together, but like he's made probably 500 plus songs for us, from like funk to ambient to piano. Like he's just done so much production work that I don't know if there's anything he can't make. And I think he's ready. He's like, this is like the timing of everything right now is pretty beautiful because he's just getting started still on what he's been able to put out there.
Yeah, cool. You have to touch upon, you mentioned a couple of things there. The last thing you mentioned was that he has done a lot of stuff. I'm guessing he's ghost produced or he's done stuff under different pseudonyms. Yeah. How like, and you do this because then you own the artist in a sense. And is it because it used to be a different time? And I guess this ties into the playlisting you mentioned, because I also produced music 6 years ago under a pseudonym, under a masked kind of thing, just to produce, with probably one of the European labels that you're talking about. I think we have some mutual friends there who are basically, they're not running a label, in my opinion. They're running a streaming factory in a sense. They have huge playlists and a huge playlist network. And that used to be how independent, the independent labels were starting to actually take over from in my opinion, it looked like they kind of shook the major labels a bit. And then I don't know what happened. Spotify changed the strategy or something. Yeah, maybe you know this probably much better than I do.
I mean, I don't know the history too well. I just know that they had a beautiful business model, and they still do, these streaming labels. And if I was getting involved, when they were, which was, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, when Spotify was just like, picking up. I don't know when did Spotify. Anyways, if I was getting involved 10 years ago, I would have been doing the exact same thing as them, because it's so effective. Like there was this huge opportunity in the world of playlists, running ads to build playlists, SEO ranking for these playlists. Like the fact that that drove so much music discovery. I mean, I wish I could have been involved earlier on in that, but at the same time, now they're very wrapped up in this way of doing it. And there's, it's harder to pivot out when you're so deep in it. So yeah, I don't know if there was a question here, but that's my thoughts.
Yeah, I know. It's interesting to hear your thoughts about it, because I remember thinking that this is very nice. Like I think for one of the projects that I had with them, I think we got like 20, 30, 40 million streams quite like in the year or something, which was unheard of for me personally if I was to release music myself. but it felt very short term. I was like, again, the reason why I did it under a pseudonym and not with my own name and face was that I felt like this is it's like, I don't know. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's not like, it didn't feel like this. None of these artists that they're breaking will stick. None of these will play Jimmy Fallon. And again, who cares about playing Fallon today? But you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's very shallow.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it all depends on what people's goals are, right? I think a lot of artists, they have that big goal of, they want to headline Tomorrowland or whatever festival's cool these days. And so, yeah, I mean, if it doesn't, play towards that goal, maybe it's just not for everyone, right? But I think it can be a good, starting point for some people to just get that confidence and know that, oh, you know what, this is good enough for people to listen to on playlists, to hear. It may not build a fan base, but it should at least keep me going. But long term, yeah, I mean, the value is definitely more on the label side for, hey, this is a really good business model. And then also I don't know, I would probably think of that as I'm a producer. I would rather just sell these out for cash, make more money, and just fund the improvement of my musical career or something like that. As opposed to I'm going to give all these songs away for essentially free up front, plus I get 30%, whatever it might be. It's I don't know. I've always just leaned more towards all in on either front, either sell it or buy it.
Yeah, no, it was financially it was okay, and in my opinion, I think I've probably thought the same way you did, that it was an interesting way of testing stuff, getting better, getting stuff out there, and also in their defense, it's the same way money doesn't solve all problems, but it solves all your money problems. Working with them didn't solve all my artistic problems, but it solved my streaming problems, and that is a major thing. And you could leverage that much more than I did towards festivals and stuff, and say I have a couple of million monthly listeners. Fucking book me at a nice spot. But the reason why I mentioned it is that I don't feel like that's what you are doing. I feel like one of the reasons why I feel what you're doing is more interesting is that, with Oscar McKay, for example, it doesn't feel to me that you are you're doing something long term with him. It doesn't feel like you're just boosting his streams. Yes, you're doing that also, but it seems like you want to go somewhere with him.
Yeah, definitely. That's a great way to put it. Well, to clarify, we don't touch playlisting for any of our own artists anymore. We've just found it to be kind of counterproductive. We're the ad strategy is very much the way we think of it is, someone's going to see an ad, they're going to hear a song, they're going to enjoy that song, they're going to click, I want to listen to this. Then they're going to have to select the streaming platform. So they're going to have to then click that. Then they're going to have to go click play. So there's a lot of it might not sound like a lot, but that's a lot of work for someone to hear something and then jump through all these hoops. So we're bringing in essentially a fan, or maybe even a super fan at some point, to be willing to do all of those things. And yes, they're more focused on being a fan of the song and not the artist, but that's a much easier person to convert than someone who's never heard it. So yeah, we think of it in that way. And so, another way to look at these is the streams per listener of someone who's converted from an ad might be a 2.5 or a 3.0. It's hard to say the exact number. That means that if I bring someone in, again, not even counting for the fact that we're going to get the algorithm moving, that one listener is likely to listen to it 2.5 to 3 times. This isn't a perfect number, but around that. Someone from a playlist may listen to it 1.3 times, right? And so all other things aside, Spotify is going to look at either of these songs, one that's being playlisted or one that's being ad driven. They're going to say, oh, people like this more. Knowing nothing else, surely they have more data than just that. But in general, you're bringing in a much higher intent listener. And I don't want to throw lower intent listeners at that because it's going to mess with our algorithms. So again, that's not to say that there's not a place for playlisting, but for what we're doing and for how much we're investing into the active listenership, it's not worth it for us to throw passive listenership at it.
No. And would you recommend, for example, myself, would you recommend to go the same route that you've done, like skip playlists? That it's a different era now, and Spotify will punish you if you have these passive listeners that you're mentioning, and it's much more valuable to get the active listeners, because in order to really take over, you have to get help from the big Spotify algorithm. I'm guessing.
Yeah, I mean, I will always recommend to do whatever we're doing. Like that's we will
Yeah,
stand behind whatever
Yeah.
we're doing all the way. So, but at the same, so I would say yes for sure. At the same time, it's very expensive what we're doing, and it's like not every song is going to work for it, right? So, if there's ways that you can a lot of companies like these streaming labels arbitrage playlists, like, oh, I put $100 a day into ads and I've got enough high quality songs there that I'm making $101 per day. By all means, scale that up to the moon. But if that's not the case, then yeah, I mean, I would just be thinking about like, what's the long-term goal here and how do we get there? If I made a song that just doesn't quite convert on these ads, how do I make one that does? How do I get into the rooms with the right writers, or how do I work on my own skills to like figure out what that is? What does that 15-second clip need to be? And that's something we're spending a lot of time trying to figure out even now, is like, what is that? What is it that makes some of these just connect versus others? And, hopefully we'll have a better answer next time we chat, but we're trying to figure that out. And that's what I would do as an artist is really try to hone in on that craft, because for us, it's like, I can't really give advice on everything, because my advice is like, make hits, and that's not great advice. You know what I mean? So it's like, we just want to work on the best of the best stuff, because it's the most exciting and because it has the most potential and because we can bring the most to that. So, anything that falls outside of that, it's, to me, it's just about getting back in the studio and making something better.
You mentioned radio. I thought radio was dead.
Yeah, it is, but but not entirely. Some people still listen to it. So, yeah, I mean, that's like when we think of radio, it is really like an add-on thing. It's not something that's going to like push this song into the stratosphere. But when a song gets to a certain point, you need to be hitting it from all angles, and radio is an angle for sure.
Yeah.
So you just kind of, not that you have to, but you want to.
Yeah, so I'm guessing it's like you get the credence of radio. It's like you are 360, or the song is a 360 song. It's not just a playlist song, which is one type of like of mood based songs. Like they're huge. It can have a lot of streams, but it's like playlist songs. And it's not like a hit list song, but it's also like a radio song. And I'm guessing that it is worth something.
Yeah, it's a bit more real world. It's a bit slightly less digital,
Yeah.
Which is nice. It's not just numbers on screen. It's like people driving cars, getting delivered, and people talking about you on the radio. It brings it to life a bit more, which is nice.
How do you work with artists on the live aspect of things? Like, for example, Oscar.
To what level?
Yeah, like, do you have your like? Did you get some like? Do you help out with bookings and stuff, or is this something he has to get handled elsewhere, or do you do management for him? Like, how involved are you with your artist? Because I'm just thinking out loud. If you are the label, you like, and one of the reasons why these streaming labels have been like gotten big is that they really don't care about building artists. They really don't. The only thing they care about is building their playlists. And in order to have playlists, they have to have a bunch of good songs, or else, and then they have to own as many of the songs in that playlist. That's how they make a lot of money. And they have this arbitrage playlists. But and I felt this, they really don't care about the artist too much. And how do you attack that, like, that problem?
Yeah, I mean, to defend them, I would say they just have a great business model. That's just like, whether or not they care about artists, I think is like, but the thing is, I think they do. And not to change the subject here, but I've had a lot of conversations with them, and it's more so that they're just stuck in this model, and it's like really hard to get out of. It's like, oh, you've got this extremely profitable thing, and yet maybe I'll talk to them about, hey, you want to spend 30 grand on ads for this song? It's like, I mean, can we start with 2 grand? You know, it's just like, it's such a different world that I think they want to start pivoting into that. Like they want the plaques, they want all these things. It's just like, it's really hard for them to get there, just as a quick defense for them. But we do manage Oscar. So he has a booking agent. We don't deal with like booking stuff directly. That's not our world. But yeah, I think like we manage another artist named Texture. And same thing, we're like, you know, working through a booking agency, and we'll look to probably do that with anyone that we manage. So not handling the booking directly, but
I get that.
Yeah, definitely want, like, that's, I mean, for Oscar, that's everything. Since day one of meeting him, he's wanted to play live, and he just had his first live show beginning of this month, in Oslo. I don't know if you made it there, but
no, unfortunately I wasn't able to go there, but I heard he was able to fill it.
Yeah, he sold it out within like 2 weeks. It was incredible.
Yeah, 100%. It was super impressive, and I think that he feared that. I listened to an interview with it's a Norwegian journalist who's like the music journalist in Norway, and he talked about it, that he feared that, are these like, do I have fans or do I have streams, in a sense. And he figured out that he actually has fans, and Norway is not a huge country, and I think he had like a decent sized venue, so that's impressive.
Yeah, that was really cool. I'd say it's all awesome.
Proof of concept.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, he's got like he just announced an opening tour today, actually, for Bunt. That's across like maybe 7 or 8 shows across Europe, and then there's a bunch of other stuff coming. So yeah, he's very much there, and I think what's cool about him is he makes good content too. So he's not just a great producer, but he's a great artist too. He's got this feeling, this aesthetic that you know, you feel like you know him. He's very real, and I think that helps. And the content he posts, it helps us connect the music to him directly, which is often a big disconnect. You know, you can have songs go viral, you know, playlists drive hundreds of millions of streams, but if they don't know who made it, you know, it's going to be hard for that person to build a career out of it. Which I don't think you'll have a problem with, thankfully.
No, there was some fun stuff here. You mentioned, you talked about releasing albums, and we touched upon it briefly in the opening. Why don't you want to touch albums? But then you said that maybe in the future we will do more albums. And with Oscar, are you not doing albums?
We will. I also just, again, if I had to pick overrated or underrated, maybe it leans a little bit overrated.
Yeah.
We always say, like, you know, singles are for, you know, growth, blowing up an artist. Albums are for fans, right? You want to give them something a bit more to sink their teeth into. So there's value there for sure. I just think that, you know, a lot of people, I mean, but you know, some folks will like focus a little too heavy on like, let's put together a 10 or a 12 piece project and then let's give it to the world. And that approach to me is like, well, no, let's find some hits, and then like anything that you have that's not a hit that you want to give to your fans, like let's find a way to package that. But that's not the focus, you know, it's not day one thought. It'll happen naturally, but to feel like you need to hunker down and pump out 10 plus songs before you do anything is, to me, that's overrated.
We're going to end soon, but this is something that I'm thinking about myself. Should one artist, if you want to build an artist from zero, I thought that you should try to put out the song almost every month. That used to be the thing. It used to be the case like 5 years ago. Are you saying that that's not the case anymore? Now it's better to have one great song twice a year than to have 12 okay songs pumping out.
I guess it would depend on your resources. You know, if you don't have a ton of cash, you want to keep everything independent, and you have the ability to make music for inexpensive. Yeah, I think pumping out a high volume is probably the best approach. But for someone like Oscar, you know, we fund everything that he's doing, and you know, a lot of money goes into something like Make Me Feel, this track that's popping off right now. And you know, there's a reason we haven't put out another song for the last 2.5 months, and that we probably won't for a little bit longer too, is because we want to continue to focus on that song. We want that to be and we think it's got a lot of runway still. So there's definitely reasons, in my opinion. Again, other people do it differently and it works, but giving it some space to breathe and to do its thing. At the same time, I get the value of albums. Like when I'm a fan of, like a real fan of an artist, like I need an album to sink my teeth into. And so like there's value there for sure. But from a marketing standpoint, that's an album, in my opinion, is something you can put out, you can tour around it, and you can give it to the fans, but it's not something that, you're putting a ton of marketing time into. And so maybe that's why my answer is that, because I'm coming from a marketing standpoint.
Yeah. What music do you listen to yourself? Like, what music are you a super fan of?
So much stuff. I don't even know how to answer that question, because it's just such a wide variety of. I don't listen to a ton of dance. I do like Afro house. Some artists I like right this exact second, and this changes often. Where like I'm a big Ben Howard fan, like Chet Faker, that kind of world. On that side, I do like a lot of like female pop too. I think there's like the writing in female pop, like as of late, has been really good. Like the Gracie Abrams and the Olivia Rodrigos of the world. I think they write really good music, lyrically. And then, I mean, a lot of UK drill. Love Dave. AJ Tracy, that type of stuff. And then like Zach Bryan and that whole gang, Sam Barber, Jonah Kagan, like those types of artists I think are awesome. Max McDowell, who's an artist we do a ton of stuff. I'm a huge fan of his too. There's just so much. I don't know. Like there's so many
But with
more.
Seven Cult, you do mostly electronic music.
It's a lot of dance, yeah. And reason for that has been it's very easy to market dance music, in my opinion, because we create so much content, and there's so much creator content that does not necessarily require an artist to perform. Whereas like if you look at someone like a Max McNown, who has a phenomenal performance, and he's got, I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he's just great live performance, great voice. He's got all the right things. He would not be where he is today if he didn't have that live, emotion to him. Music's phenomenal, but music by itself, we find that can really only go so far outside of dance music.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of dance is pretty faceless.
Yeah, because it's instrumental, or because it's
Exactly.
Yeah.
And any vocals are like, not the artist singing. But we did release our first pop track about 3 weeks ago, and it's done incredibly well. We got it to 100,000 a day on streaming, and so I don't listen to a ton of dance, but it's been the easiest thing for us to market, and I do enjoy it, but we definitely want to do a lot of other music. We don't want to be stuck in this box, but we're very good at it right now. So.
Where are you at in 5 years?
A couple Grammys, wall full of plaques. I think we want to get into film at some point. So, I think music and film aren't too dissimilar. I think they're just different ways of playing with emotions and creating feelings. So that has been something that I've been thinking a lot about, and who knows when that'll happen. But, I think that's definitely on the horizon.
Yeah. So film. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. We will end this, but if we want to summarize the cheat sheet, as brief as possible. If you're an up and coming artist, you want to make it in 2025, you want to market your music, you want to follow Dalton's advice, what do you want to do?
Learn how to run ads. Scrap that. I would just say really hone in on the craft. Really you think you made something good, you didn't. Make something better. That thing, make it better. Make it, and just keep making. I feel like people are so, I could be wrong, But I do feel like myself, even when I was making music, I was always so convinced that everything I made was the greatest thing I've ever made. And it probably was. Yeah. And, you know, no one else thought that. So just to clarify. But yeah, I really think just like really honing in on that and like getting better and doing more and more and more. And eventually, like Max Martin said, something will connect. If you really just focus on that, you know, a lot of data, a lot of research can go into what's working right now, what's on the viral charts, what's popping, what part of it's popping, how did it pop? Was it organic? Was it paid? What was the video? What was the part of the song? All these different elements. What was the lyrical content? The visuals, every piece of it, I think can be broken down. And, you know, it's a lot of work, but you can do that as an artist and you can figure out, you know, not only how to improve your own production skills, if you're making that type of music, but, you know, everything else that goes behind making it pop off.
Yeah. What hooks people? And
what grabs their curiosity is, that's been the big thing for us. It's not so much even, oh, this is amazing, I love this. It's more so, you've got my attention, I'm interested. What is this? I want more, right? You didn't give me all of it. You couldn't. If you gave me all of it, I'm not gonna convert. But if you give me just enough to grab my curiosity, then you're set. Yeah.
This was interesting. I hope a lot of other people found it interesting too. And I'll send you some stuff, and who knows?
Please do.
Maybe you will find it interesting, and we can talk again. No, but anyways, this was interesting. And if people want to reach you, and other people out there who are talented and feel like they have the best shit ever made, how can they reach you?
Yeah, I mean, so our website, we don't have much of a website as of this moment, but yeah, I'd say my email is probably best, dalton@7quote.com, or on the marketing side, dalton@pulse.cx.